Hi there and welcome to Queer Stories. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about the latest movie that came out, Happiest Season, which is touted as a lesbian holiday rom-com, I think. So basically it's supposed to be a romantic comedy that takes place in the holiday season whose two main characters are lesbian. So first of all, what's the story? In a nutshell, the story is about a couple who has been together for a long time, and one of the women is in the closet and the other one is not. So the one that is not in the closet is called Abby, and that's the one played by Kristen Stewart, and she's amazing in this film. And then the one that is in the closet is called Harper, and she's played by MacKenzie Davis. So rather than it being a completely lighthearted rom-com in which they chose to, throw these two lesbian characters into a random scenario, what they did with the film was they explored the idea of how being in the closet can be painful. And they really chose to delve into that, I think, in quite a deep way. So I think mainly the major issue that a lot of people have with the movie is that they came prepared for a lighthearted comedy. And what they found was something very realistic that probably made them feel a lot of things on the inside that they weren't ready to feel at that moment. One of the things that I really did not like about the film was that Harper asked Abby to come with her to her family's Christmas gathering. And Abby is an orphan. She doesn't have family of her own. So the idea of being invited to a Christmas event, I think, was very touching to her. And she was really excited to go. Nervous, but excited because she wanted to ask Harper to marry her and she wanted to ask her father's permission, and she had all these ideas and dreams of what that encounter with her partner's family would be like. And then we find out in the car on the way to the family gathering that Harper lied to Abby in the past and told her that she had come out to her family and that her family had accepted it. But the reality was Harper never came out, never even tried. It's not that I think that that scenario is unrealistic. It's just that it's so disappointing because it's unfair to sort of make a bombshell announcement that you're not out to your family on the way to the gathering with the family, because you're not giving your partner the opportunity to, first of all, mentally compose themselves about like, how should I behave in this scenario, and maybe even discuss that with you a little bit. But also to have the opportunity to say, I'm not comfortable with doing that. Because she could have said, I really don't want to go if you're not out. Like, I don't want to go and pretend to be your roommate. I want to go as your lover. So by telling her on the way when they were already almost there, it sort of removed from her the agency of being able to decide on her own. Because if at that moment she says, I don't want to go, but they turn around and drive back. We don't know how far away this is, but they're going in a car. I'm presuming it's maybe a few hours drive. So that part immediately, when I saw that happen in the car, I have to say I was watching with a friend of mine, and both of us are bisexual women. So we both have some experience in this area. And when we saw them discussing in the car the fact that Harper lied to her family, we're both like, oh no. Obviously we can see the scenario that they're setting up in the film is that this is going to be the main plot of the film. And then throughout the film, what we see from Harper is a family that seems to only give out what I would call conditional love. And I think they actually use that term in the movie as well. But basically, you need to earn the love of your family. And the way that you earn the love of your family is by being amazing. So, you're the best at your job. Everyone thinks you're great. You're the type of kid that you can brag about to your friends, right? That's what conditional love is. And I think what happens in a lot of cases is that children think that their parents' love is conditional when it's probably not actually. But because of the way the parents are constantly, really encouraging their kids to go after their dreams and to be the best and all of that, they're creating this misconception that if you're not the best, that if you're not the highest achiever and so on, that you will not receive proportionately the amount of love that you think that you might want. And we can even see this with the three different sisters, because the three different sisters have different sort of levels of professional accomplishment. And Harper, who is the lesbian one, is the most accomplished from a professional sense. And you can see her parents really only giving her the attention. And then the other two that are maybe less accomplished, one of them runs a basically bath products small business. And the other one is like a very geeky writer. Can relate to that one. Who's sort of socially awkward. So that one is like the lowest on the totem pole. And then and then comes the one with her own little bath products business, and then is the successful sort of I believe she's a publisher or speechwriter or something. I can't remember exactly what Harper does in the movie. Also, the father is a politician, and so he has a public life, and he really cares about what his image looks like to the constituents, which is normal. But I think what it does is it paints a picture of a family that's unbalanced. So then when we move on to the events of the movie, and I will speak about a few spoilers in the movie, so forgive me, but I still think it's worth watching. So then something that happens a little bit later in the movie is that one of the sisters, who is very competitive with Harper, finds out that they're a couple, that Harper and Abby are a couple. And after she finds out that they're a couple, now she feels like she's got ammunition that she can use to sort of now become the favorite child, because there's something wrong with the other one. So of course they're going to like me better now. And this character comes across very unsympathetic in the show or in the movie, but I can actually sort of understand that. Not in the way that it's portrayed necessarily, because it's portrayed to such an extreme example. They actually start physically fighting, which I thought was a little bit like, oh God, like that's too much. I think they tried to go sort of like slapstick comedy with the cat fight that gets dragged into the living room. And they didn't need to do that. I think that made it a bit ridiculous. So they had me going with all the serious stuff that was going on, but then by trying to add the comedic elements to it, it almost ruined it for me. Like I would have preferred if it was a holiday drama that could really explore all of these serious issues rather than trying to rom-com it up. But nonetheless, I'll forgive them for that. So they have a fight, and the sister outs her sister in public in front of everybody and says, that's not her roommate, that's her lover. And me and my friend watching it together both went, oh no. Nobody wants to be outed in public. And I suspected that they were going to do what they were going to do with this instead of doing the right thing. So after her sister outed her, unfortunately, the family basically forgave her very quickly. And the way that it was written in the story, the family sort of used this as an opportunity to look in the mirror and say, what was it about our family dynamic that made it so that you felt like you had to hide this? And so it ended up coming across that the family immediately accepted her as being a lesbian, and that she should have never hidden that in the first place. And I kind of didn't like that approach to it, because it made it look like Harper was irrational in her fear of coming out. And then it sort of made Abby look like the golden child for being out and proud and feeling hurt when Harper went through all the stuff that she went through. I think it would have been a more realistic scenario if after Harper came out, their family sort of kicked them out for a while and said, look, you're not welcome. I think that would have been a more realistic portrayal, because not that I would like that portrayal better, not that I want them to kick her out. I think it's a nicer ending to have her accepted by her family. But the ease at which that happened made Harper look like she was hiding it for no reason. And in a lot of cases, when people are still in the closet, they're in the closet because it's unsafe. And unsafe can mean just generally emotionally unsafe because your family is not supportive, or it can mean physically unsafe, like people will beat you and physically attack you. So by taking away the question of it being unsafe, it does make it look like she's just, being overly dramatic by being in the closet. So we talked about a few things that I didn't like about it, but let's talk about some stuff that I did like about it. So I really like the way that they portrayed Abby and Harper as having two different levels of comfort with their own sexuality, because I think that this is pretty normal, right? Like a lot of people and couples that are in a relationship together are not necessarily at the same speed or in the same headspace. And then the question is, can you find a way to be together and work with that and find balance even though you don't always agree? Or is that a deal breaker for you? And is it so serious that her not being out is too much for you to deal with? And I think that they handled that question rather elegantly, because at the end of the film, Abby does say, look, I'm kind of at this point in my life where I just need you to be out. Like, if you're not out, I can't make this work. And that's a very honest thing for Abby to say. And it's a fair thing for her to say. But it's also honest and fair for Harper to still be in that internal struggle and to still say, I just can't. So the fact that she did come out, forcibly outed by a family member, didn't allow Harper to come to that conclusion or that realization on her own, and didn't allow her to go on that journey on her own. So I think that was the part that sort of disappointed me the most about it, was the fact that it wasn't even Harper's decision. So Harper got to take this almost benefit of being outed by a family member to take the responsibility off of her own shoulders of her coming out. But I still like the fact that they grappled with this, because I think it's a pretty realistic scenario. And for a lot of people that are not queer, I think they probably don't think about stuff like this. Like they might not think about the fact that love is conditional in families. They might have those types of experiences for other reasons. So, the even within the nuclear family that's shown in the movie, the youngest sister that's less accomplished in her career is also feeling that feeling of conditional love. Like everybody in that family is feeling that feeling. So it's not about being gay or straight, but I think that a lot of gay people have this experience. It's a common experience. Whether the reality is actually there is a different one, because sometimes you can feel this way out of fear, even when it's not the case, right? And then after coming out, this big relief happens, because now you don't have to worry anymore. Whether it's an acceptance or whether it's a rejection, how your family feels about your sexuality. So that whole journey, I think, is a common one among queer people. One of the lines that came up in the movie also is they used the line lifestyle choice. So before the parents knew that their own daughter was gay, they were looking at another lesbian across the room and saying, oh, what a sad lifestyle choice that girl has made. And I think what they dealt with in the movie quite interestingly was they said, they sort of, in the beginning of the film, equated being gay to a lifestyle choice. But then by the end of the film, they realized it's not a lifestyle choice, but being in the closet is. And that's what I thought was the main point of the film. And I think that came across very well. So in summary, I think me and my friend who watched it together both thought that it was a great film, because it dealt with a lot of issues that we could feel sympathy with. I think the reviews have been so-so from what I've seen so far this morning. I think a lot of the people who were coming to watch the movie were not expecting for it to be such heavy topics. And so that was something that impacted people when they were watching the movie. And I think a lot of queer people might have just wanted to see a movie that was like, okay, two lesbians going and buying a tree and doing like normal Christmas stuff without all of the gay drama attached to it. But I kind of like the fact that it had all that gay drama attached to it, because it gives you the opportunity, if your family and friends watch the movie also, it gives you an opportunity to have some of those discussions and to say, look, I have felt that way in the past too. I did also see some people online this morning saying that they felt triggered by seeing some of the content. And I think for me, that's a sign that they did a good job, because if you're triggered by seeing some content, and what it means is that you relate to that content and it brings you back to a point in your life that was painful that was similar to the content that you saw in the movie. And that means the movie is relatable. Not necessarily the movie you wanted to watch at that moment, but successful in its portrayal of, some struggles that queer people go through. And particularly that balance between love and family. Because, for some people, no matter how much you love your partner, your family is always there. It's always been there. It always will be there. And so you need to reconcile your feelings with your family. And that's not always an easy thing to do, particularly if your partner is making it it's them or me kind of situation, which I think is quite unfair. So definitely go out and watch this movie. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments. Take care and have a good day. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, you can subscribe. And if you want to support me in continuing to create content like this, I do also have a Patreon account. Thanks very much, and see you next time. 15 minutes of quiet. I just needed 15 minutes of quiet. Baby, can we just settle down for like 15 minutes? I just need to record my video. Just need to record my video. He's the one who wanted to come in here. I didn't even want him in here today. Trying to record this video with this cat today. He has been all over everything that I've been doing. And I fed him. It's not like he hasn't been fed. Baby! Come on! Oh my god! Just settle down. He doesn't like it when the door is closed is the problem. But I need the door closed. I need the door closed, baby!